So, I just got back from my second day at a Sikh temple. And I want to recap a little bit of his weekend too. Pretty, whoa. I'm glad this is my life. Whew. So, first and foremost, I was there punctual and I pretty much just sat there for 2 hours. Um, what ended up being the case was I got up to try to get a book because I saw people getting books, and at first I was reluctant to do that. I was the only man there too for over an hour, which I was thinking like, oh, did I come? I don't know. But the ladies, they told me wash my hands, take my shoes off, and my socks. I had my water bottle right here, and they're like, no, just leave it outside. So I went in there and I sat, and then all women were in there, and it wasn't until probably at least a good hour afterwards, it might have even been an hour and a half, that a another male uh, came in the room and sat down. Some walked passed through, doing other activities. About a bandana for it. I'm gonna leave it on to the end of this clip. Um, and when I saw these people getting booked, these ladies getting books, I decided, you know what? I'm gonna go up there and try to find a book. So I went over there and looking around. And there's one that said, interestingly enough, Roman English. So I got one of those, and I sat back down, and I just sat on the side that I sat on because it's divided. It's not really divided. There's a walkway down the middle, so it's divided in that sense. I did the drop some money, did the bow when I got there. Then a lady came over to me, and because I didn't know at the time, but I had put the book on the ground at some point, I think. I was flipping through the pages, and so she came over. She's like, "Oh," she gave me her book, and I live all in Punjabi. So I was like, "Oh, I don't know." And she looked at me like, "Huh?" And she looked at the book. She's like, "No, go ahead." I was like, "No, I don't know Punjabi, only English." She's like, "English?" She was so confused. So what the take was is that, um, so this is a new one for me. I've been Egyptian, Israeli, Puerto Rican, black, and now Punjabi. They thought I was Punjabi, so no one was thinking, hey, let's go help this guest. So she's like, oh, this is a morning book. This is for morning only. I was like, oh no, English only. She's like, oh, don't worry. So she took the book, she put it back, and then she went back to her seat where she was sitting originally. So I was there. So I sat there. And I did my best to meditate, and I did my best to listen to the. It was like an answer, almost like what you would call what some people describe the original black church as. It was very uh, question response orientated. That's where some of the and that was derived from the work songs in the fields that the original black church was like that. So, but anyways, not to get too distracted. So afterwards, they when that session is over, they play some music again. Um, Music, man, the guy that plays the drums, that shit is the bomb. So they go through something, and then it's done. So the lady comes back to I wait, I sit there, and everybody else gets up because there's an old man now that's sitting in front of me. And I decide, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna get up when he gets up and leave when he leaves. That way, I don't know what the process is getting out because I know going in you got to do a little swipe and then do not really a bow but a bend over. So I was like, I'll figure out wait for him. But the lady started coming over, so I was like, okay. And then another lady came, and so she's like, is it your first time here? The other one knew more English. And oh, first the lady came with the one that was helping me out, and she's like, no Punjabi? You know Punjabi? I was like, no, no, no. And then the other lady that was with her said, you're not Punjab? I was like, no, Mexican and Irish. And she said, oh, great, that's great. She said, come, we'll get some food. And so they walked me over there. The lady that was initially helping me, introduced herself as Benji, and then she said sister. I don't know if that meant Benji is sister, but that was or she was identifying herself as like a, the term of endearment. Um, so go into they're like, food, you can come every day and eat. You can come every day and eat. Come. And the other lady, because I sat there, I mean, partially because of my training from the SGI in chanting. I think the longest I chanted was 10 hours straight. So partially from that kind of stuff, um, I had sitting training because it's not. I mean, if you ever watched one of these shows, they have this show about this girl traveling the world and she practiced being a geisha. Her first training is geisha sitting, and she can't even make it for an hour. I don't even think she makes it for 20 minutes. But even sitting and your legs crossed, I'm sure most people know. So I didn't sit completely still. I had to do some adjustment. And when I did adjustment, what I did is I relied on the teachings of Don Juan and the position that where he had your right foot on the ground, knee up, and your left foot tucked under you. And so I did that for a second, then I switched, I reversed that, and then I just went back to that. We got to stand up. The standing portion for the prayer helped alleviate some of the tension. Sat back down, got some food. Now, the ladies fed me a gang of pizza. They had some vegetarian pizza. She gave me like 6 slices. And I eat lentils and rice all the time, so I'm stuffed. And she was trying to give me some more. I was like, oh, I can't take no more. And she said, don't worry, I'll take it when I go to work. And this is what I'm going to say. That was the end of that. So I already said I'm going back. I'm going back. But the lady said, oh, I'll take it when I go to work. I work at the hospital. I was like, oh, okay. She said, Silmar. Okay, if anybody watches video from Saturday, um, 12 years ago, my first daughter, died at basically 8 weeks old in the womb. Um, and so there's a lot that went on with this. This weekend, some lady commented on some of my poems that I posted on my poem site, poems that I was very iffy about the reaction, paranoid. There's a trepidation that comes with me when I write some of my poems. I don't know what the heck's gonna happen. But I know what I want to happen, and I don't think what I want to happen is gonna happen. But this lady's reaction blew my mind away, so I was so grateful. She only had 16 poems, so that was pretty easy. So I went through all of her poems, and then she made the mistake of contacting me back and then mentioning that I didn't leave comments on 2 of her poems, and I didn't do that for a reason. One of them was called Witch's Grave, and so I left one, and she hasn't commented. She hasn't. I didn't leave a comment, but I gave her in the reply my take on that. But one of the poems that she wrote was a bear named B, and that was talking about how when her daughter was born, all she had was her bear. They gave her in the hospital, and how long she had the bear, and then finally one time she heard the two B, and so the bear's name became B. And on that poem, that was the last one that I read of her 16, and it was mind-boggling because I was like, holy crap. I was like, you know what? I don't know really how to say this, but you know what? 12 years ago, this was on Saturday. I was like, 12 years ago, Sunday, sorry, this was on Sunday. 12 years ago, I got a bear, but it was in place of my daughter that did not live. And the bear went on unnamed. Um, so then Memorial Day came, and this lady, the mis, the miscarriage actually happened in Canoga Park, but we got to the hospital. It was completed in Olive View, and Olive View had just started this practice of after miscarriage therapy, so to speak, and part of that was giving a bear to a man. I was pissed at first. They showed us pictures. They called us in. I was horrifically enraged. And when they brought in the picture, the bear was in there. And then they brought the bear out. Oh my gosh, I could not stop bawling. So, all in all, I'm worried. I am so worried in one sense that I got a feeling that Sikh is calling. That my life is being led in that direction. And they've got a phenomenal story. And I guess the biggest challenge for me is the God thing. But they use the term kind of to convey to people, but I don't think that's necessarily that they believe in a God. It's almost, well, anyways. But apart from all that, the overall spiritual, because I told the lady when I was done reading her poem, she had some amazing poems, and she's from Massachusetts. And in one of the comments, I was like, "Man, you have to be a neighbor of Thoreau." And I told her, for this poem, I'm bowing my head to the ground right now. And that's when I looked at where she lived, so I know the direction is to Massachusetts. And I realized, holy shit, this lady lives where Thoreau lived. And I left that when one of the comments, and when she replied back to me in her message, she said yes. And you know what? Walden's Pond is a 20-minute drive from my house, and I go there often. So, mother, sister, nurse, Memorial Day. Wow. This, I just say, wow. I mean, this is what metaphors exist for, to convey these sentiments. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm totally familiar enough with psychology and psychiatry to know that the summary of the basic, the most intellectual of that school would say that these are basically some kind of maybe potentially schizophrenic or delusions of making connections of things that don't really connect. And that's fine, because you know what? From what I've ultimately learned, is whatever you say is only a reflection of how you feel inside. And even the stuff that I say is a reflection of how I feel about parts of me inside, and the whole is me. And the reaction's sincere. And that goes with that whole thing that I said about understanding the difference between coping and malicious. And I'll probably get down to the brunt of that and realize there is no difference. And the only way I can do that is to face the deepest, darkest agony of mine that I am coping with. And when I finally see what that is, I don't think I'll have the capacity to sustain the rage that I had. But at the same time, too, when you're in there, you have to do it. I learned that from Joseph Campbell. And while I'm rage, I have to burn rage. Because the only way to make it through it is to embrace it. And so I will, come what may. This is the essence of my life. And I am alive. So I will live. And I do not live according to guidelines, chains, fences, gauges, or punishment, or rewards. I live to live. And that's it. So, to close this, I want to, wow, Sikh people are amazing. Very amazing. I wrote a poem for them, but it's in my phone. So if you want to see it, go on poemhunters.com. It's called, I'm going to bring it to them next Sunday and get a offer as a gratitude. But it's called the arrival of the 11th guru. So I don't know how they're going to take that, because it's the gurus are very, very sacred. And I mean, that was so. Peace out.